The months passed slowly, and Adetutu's pregnancy became impossible to hide. As her belly grew, so did the whisper in the village. Women gossiped at the marketplace. Children were forbidden from playing near Baba Aderemi's hut, and even some elders shook their head in judgment whenever she walked by. Adetutu tried to remain strong, clinging to the encouragement of Baba Aderemi, but the shame weighed heavily on her. She often stood outside her mother's compound, longing for Iya Aduni to open the door and embrace her, but her mother's rejection was a wound that refused to heal. One evening, while Adetutu sat outside Baba Aderemi's hut, staring at the orange glow of the setting sun, she noticed a figure approaching from the distance. The man was tall, wrapped in a tattered brown agbada, and carried a withered staff. His steps were slow but purposeful, and his presence seemed to command attention. When he reached the center of the village, the stranger spoke in a deep, resonant voice. "People of Aregun, gather under the baobab tree. I have a message for you." The villagers, drawn by curiosity and a strange sense of urgency, left their home and gathered as instructed. Even Pastor Akinfenwa, known for his stern skepticism of outsiders, came to see what the commotion was about. Adetutu, unsure of what to think, stood at the edge of the gathering, her hands resting protectively on her swollen belly. The man introduced himself as Adebayo. "I am a servant of the Most High," he said, his voice carrying over the crowd. "He has sent me to deliver a message of hope and warning." Adebayo's words were strange yet compelling. He spoke of a coming change that would destroy the village ways, a transformation that would challenge their beliefs. "Among you," he said, his eyes scanning the crowd, "there is one who carries a seed of destiny, a child who would break chains and bring light to the darkness of the places, but not without trials and heartbreak." The crowd erupted in murmurs. Some dismissed him as a lunatic, while others felt a chill of unease. Pastor Akinfenwa stepped forward, his face twisted in disapproval. "Who are you to claim such authority?" he demanded. "And what proof do you have that this word came from God?" Adebayo turned to face the pastor, his expression calm. "I did not come with proof for you, Pastor, but with a message. The Creator works in ways beyond our understanding. This child will be a sign of his power." The pastor sneered. "And where is this so-called chosen one? Let them reveal themselves if your prophecy is true." Adebayo gazed moved through the crowd until it rested on Adetutu. He pointed directly at her. "She is the one, and the child she carries is the seed of destiny." Gasps rippled through the crowd. All eyes turned to Adetutu, who froze in place, her heart racing. Pastor Akinfenwa laughed bitterly. This is your chosen vessel? A woman who has brought nothing but shame to her family and this community?" He turned to the crowd. "Do not let yourself be deceived by this nonsense. God does not walk through sinners." Adebayo's voice grew firm. "Do not judge what you do not understand, Pastor. The Creator chooses the humble and the outcast and the broken to fulfill his purpose. His ways are higher than our ways." But the pastor shook his head, dismissing the words as foolishness. "If your prophecy is true, let us see the evidence. Until then, you have no place in this village." Adebayo turned back to Adetutu, his eyes kind but serious. "Do not fear, my child. The Creator is with you. This journey will not be easy, but you were chosen for a reason." With that, he walked away, disappearing in the forest as mysterious as he had arrived. That night, Adetutu couldn't sleep. Her mind replayed Adebayo's words over and over. Could her child truly be destined for something great? She wanted to believe, but doubt knocked at her. The next morning, she shared her thoughts with Baba Aderemi. "Baba, do you think what he said is true? Could my child really be chosen by God?" Baba Aderemi nodded thoughtfully. "Adetutu, you already know my vision have shown me that this child is special, but I also know how hard it is to trust in God when his plans seem impossible to understand. Let me tell you something I have learned from my own journey." Adetutu blinked in surprise. She had never heard Baba Aderemi speak of his past before. She leaned closer, eager to hear more. "I was not always the village herbalist," he began, staring into the fire. "I was once a believer, a young man on fire for God. I've read my Bible, prayed fervently, and preach to anyone who would listen. I believed God would use me to do great things, but then tragedy struck. His voice grew quieter, tinged with sorrow. My wife, Folashade, fell ill shortly after we were married. I prayed day and night for her healing, but she only grew worse. I begged God to save her, but he didn't. She died in my arms. Adetutu reached out to touch his arm, her heart aching at the pain in his voice. I was angry, Baba Aderemi continued, his eyes glittering. Angry at God for ignoring my prayers, for letting her die, so I turned away. I told myself that if God wouldn't listen to me, I didn't need him. I began studying herbs and the old ways, trying to find answers on my own. That's how I became the herbalist you see today. I thought I had left God behind. He paused, staring into the flickering flame. But now in my anger, God never abandoned me. Years ago, I started having visions, dreams of people I could help, warnings of things to come. At first, I dismissed them, thinking they were from the spirits of the land. But one night, I had a vision unlike any other. I saw a man in a radiant light who told me, my ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. You cannot see the full picture, but I am working all things for good. His voice trembled with emotion. It was then I realized the visions were not from the spirits, they were from God. He had been speaking to me all along, even when I had turned my back on him. I repented, Adetutu, and I spent every day since striving to follow him again. That is why I am here for you now. That's why I have returned to him, and why I believe so strongly in the destiny of your child. Adetutu wiped a tear from my cheek. But how do I face the village, Baba? They already despise me. How can I carry this responsibility when I am so weak? Baba Aderemi placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. You are not weak, Adetutu. The Creator's strength will carry you. Remember, he does not call the qualified, he qualified the caused. Trust in him and he will guide you. Adetutu nodded, her resolve slowly building. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, she felt a glimmer of hope.